Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. We're going to be talking about episode 1 of Halo 2 Artifacts, which is a podcast by Bravo and Max Hoberman, they're talking about the Halo 2 multiplayer, even some things that were cut from it. So let's get into it. First up, the first pillar of the Halo 2 multiplayer was to redefine the CE while improving it. Max was in charge of the small scale only, but changed the entire design of multiplayer after the Warfare development was no more. And speaking of which, there were many more character models originally, like Humans, Covenant, Elite, the Dervish, Arbiter, ODST, and Marine. Those were for Warfare, but after Warfare got shut down, only playable Elites obviously stayed. So, Max originally thought Halo 1 would have online multiplayer, but because Xbox Live didn't exist at the time, that obviously didn't happen. So, the first two maps that actually came together was Lockout, as you're seeing right now, Midship, and then Ascension. The multiplayer was playtested daily. Dual wielding was a pillar decided very early on. Multiplayer was a test bed for weapons and such, because since the single player was such a disaster for so long, we obviously know why, concerning that Halo 2's campaign was so ambitious at the time, that a lot of it got scrapped, and, that's essentially what Halo 3 turned into. Because if you look at the storyboard online, you can actually see that a lot of Halo 3 was originally Halo 2. Like one example was where they would go to the Ark in Halo 2, but obviously, everything, the whole development hell of Halo 2, so on and so forth. Anyway, moving on. Health packs were soon for Halo 2 and 3, but as time went on, energy shields got so effective that it ultimately didn't matter. So to the point where it was up to Max, as he was the head of design of multiplayer, whether to keep it in or not, and ultimately he chose to take it out. So it was not an easy decision on the multiplayer team at all. Like, it was not easy to make. One-sided objectives was made early on. The pillar of teamwork, and that was made through round base as we know today. The map called Zanzibar was made around that. Weapon training was an idea in the documents for multiplayer, but it was never implemented. It wasn't high enough on the list and such. Max was actually annoyed a little bit because it ended up being implemented to the campaign and not the multiplayer. Hey, maybe one day in our lifetime that in Halo multiplayer that weapon training will actually be implemented, so then teammates can stop betraying each other just because one has a sniper rifle. Only one day. One day. Anyway, moving on. The Warhog, Warhog horn, it was came up with because all the vehicles had a trigger, but the Warhog didn't. Obviously because for the driver you're just driving, so because teammate is on the turret and all that. But the Warhog horn was invented, one, to give a weapon trigger, and two, it was definitely used for communication. The entire multiplayer team laughed when they discovered, that it was implemented. It was like a hybrid between an M18 and I think I forgot the name of the other vehicle, but it was pretty darn cool that it was kind of a hybrid of those two. Anyway, there was a version of Kill and Order from Halo CE called Assassination. It was never implemented. It was basically Kill and Order from CE, but with more customization. It was never implemented. It was essentially one of those things that got cut off the drawing board. Juggernaut originally was where the Juggernaut was an actual flood Juggernaut, where you could actually use its tentacles to pick up weapons and such, and use it, to essentially throw the weapon in a different direction. Anyway. So that would have been really interesting, Hey, maybe someday, huh? Headhunter from Reach was actually originally Halo 2. It was fully spec'd and was in the alpha version of Halo 3, but because of how difficult the UI was due to not enough bandwidth at the time, it ultimately got cut. So it was a death knell for it because of the whole UI and all that. Anyway, moving on. Max came up with, made all the names and the maps and modes and initialized. And apparently there was some that was actually recorded but never actually made it into the final game. So that's pretty interesting. And the last neat fact was that assault with a bomb was only one to make it in, because the other two were Monitor and Foreigner Artifact never made it in. It was paper design only. Well, that wraps up episode 1, based on, mainly around it, because I mainly made the notes just to cover like Halo 2, because I didn't know how long it would, how long this video would be, because of, they also cover like Myth, and how Max Hoberman, became to work at Bungie, and, you know, the fun fact, the infamous fun fact of Halo 1, so, how the multiplayer was like essentially like last minute, which was pretty insane. So it was absolutely insane how that came about. So anyway, what do you guys think of the interesting facts? I think there are 4 episodes in this series, as Bravo said in the video. I will link the full video down in the description so you can listen to it for yourself. So and I will be covering episode 2 as well. Uh, in a collaboration, I'm going to be doing part 1 and 2, and my buddy, Real Boys Gaming, he's going to be covering parts 3 and 4. I believe that's the plan. If not, then I'll cover the other parts as well. And so this is Halo Gaming, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.